Not much so far.
All right, first off, we want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh. All honor and glory to Yahweh. By Hashem Yahawashi, by Hashem Kakodash. It's all honor and glory to the Most High God through His Son, who the world ignorantly called Jesus Christ, and of course the Holy Spirit. Right? Read that Bible, sir.
All right. This is Colossians 3:17. And whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Yahawashi, giving thanks to Yahweh and the Father by Him.
Right. So everything we do, whether it's in word or deed, in the name of the Lord Yahawashi, giving thanks to the Father, man. Right. So we gather together today, right, for the Lord's Passover, right, which is one of the mighty feasts of the Lord. Give me Deuteronomy 16:16. Right, and then somebody give me Psalms 133.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16 and verse 16. And it reads, 3 times in a year shall all the males appear before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread, and in the feast of weeks, and in the feast of tabernacles. And they shall not appear before the Lord empty.
Right. So 3 times a year we're commanded to appear before the Lord. Now, we know that means pretty much to go to Jerusalem, right? But nonetheless, right, now that we're in captivity, give me Judges 5:11. Now that we're in captivity, we have to keep the acts of the Lord in spirit, man. Right? Meaning we still have to come together and we still have to worship the Lord. And it's very important to understand not to come before the Lord empty-handed. Right? Give me Sirach 35:1. Right? Not to come before the Lord empty-handed. Right? We have to appear before the Lord with offerings, right? What happened in the book of Genesis with Cain and Abel, right? Hey, Cain's sacrifice was not good unto the Lord, man. Hey, the Lord rejected it, right? So when we appear before the Lord, we have to make sure that we're appearing before the Lord, not empty-handed, right? And one of the chief things to understand about the Lord is very big on order, right? So we have to make sure that when we're moving into the Lord, especially on His high holy days and His feast days, that we're moving in order. The Lord respects order, right? The Lord hates things that are out of order. What happened to Uzziah when he touched the ark because he wasn't a priest, man? The Lord put him to death. What happens if you light an incense wrong? The Lord will put you to death. The Lord loves order, man. So we have to make sure that we're moving in order continuously, always checking our minds and making sure we're circumspect and we're moving in the Lord's order, right? Go ahead, read that.
The book of Judges, chapter 5 and verse 11.
Right?
They that are delivered from the noise of the archers in the place of drawing water, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord.
Right, so we're rehearsing the righteous acts. So even though the 3 times a year you're supposed to appear before the Lord is in Jerusalem, we know the Lord is everywhere, right? And we're gathered together, and the Lord says, "What? When 1 or 2 are gathered in my when 2 or more are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst." Right, so the Lord is in the midst of what we're doing, right? So we're still appearing before Him. But as it said, we cannot appear before the Lord empty-handed. Read Sirach 35.
Sirach 35:1. He that keepeth the law bringeth offerings enough. He that taketh heed to the commandment offereth a peace offering. He that requiteth a good turn offereth fine flour, and he that giveth alms sacrificeth praise. To depart from wickedness is a thing pleasing to the Lord, and to forsake unrighteousness is a propitiation.
Right, all these things are ways that you can appear before the Lord with offerings that He has respect unto. It doesn't have to actually be you going and offering a lamb, right? We can offer to the Lord in spiritualness, man. And one of the main things the Lord desires from us is faith, right? Because a lot of times when we deal with Israel, Israel likes to have a spirit of the elders and the Pharisees, an over-righteous spirit pertaining to righteousness through the law. Right? The Lord is dealing with us having faith, understanding that we're not going to be saved through our works, but we're going to be saved through His grace and His mercy that He's going to multiply. Right? And one of the most beautiful things for the Lord to see is Israel coming together. Right? Sirach 25:1 to read that. I want Psalms 130. We can read it.
Verse 4. Thou shalt not appear empty before the Lord. For all these things are to be done because of the commandment.
Right.
Sirach 25 and 1. Read it. Sirach chapter 25 and verse 1. In three things I was beautified and stood up beautiful before both before Yahweh and men. The unity of brethren, the love of neighbors, a man and a wife that agree together.
Read that one more time.
And it reads, in three things I was beautified and stood up beautiful, both before Yahweh and men. The unity of brethren.
The what?
The unity of brethren.
The unity of brethren. Right? This is a beautiful thing before the Lord. Right? For brothers to come in unity together. Right? Go ahead.
The love of neighbors.
Right? The love of neighbors, which is still one and the same. Right? Which lines up with one of the great commandments. Right? To love thy neighbor as thyself. Right? All these things are tied together through your spiritual way of obtaining the belief in Yahawashi. Go ahead.
A man and a wife that agree together.
Right. So that's what the Lord is looking. These are ways that you can appear before the Lord, right, and not be empty-handed. Right. Read that.
Book of Psalms, chapter 133 and verse 1.
Right.
Behold, how good and how pleasant is it for brethren to dwell together in unity.
Right.
It is like the precious ointment upon the head,
right,
that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard,
right,
that went down to the skirts of his garments, as the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion. For there the Lord commanded the blessing, even life forevermore.
Right. And that lets you know how beautiful it is for us to come together before the Lord, man. It says the beauty of Aaron's beard, man, which reached down to his feet, man. That's a beautiful beard, man. You know, kind of hard to take care of. You know, but Aaron took care of it beautifully, right? Nonetheless, it talks about the mountains in Zion, a beautiful sight to be seen, man. Right? So it's a beautiful thing to see brethren come together in unity, man. Right? Now, read that 1 Corinthians 5 and 7.
1 Corinthians 5 and 7. Purge out therefore the old leaven, that ye may be a new lump, as ye are unleavened. For even Yahawashi, our Passover.
Our what?
Our Passover.
Our what?
Our Passover.
No, it's a lamb.
Our Passover.
Go ahead.
Is sacrificed for us.
Right. So we got to understand something. Right. Our Passover is Yahawashi. Right. So the question of the day in this class is Yahawashi your Passover? Right. You have to really look at yourself and the spirit you move in and look and see, am I receiving Yahawashi? Am I eating of his body? Am I drinking of his blood? Right? These things are shown in your actions and your works, the way you move, the grace and the mercy that you obtain to your people. That's a way to actually show if you are actually receiving Yahawashi. Right? It's not going by if you keep just the law. Right? Just keeping the law does not mean you receive Yahawashi. There was plenty of Pharisees and elders that kept the law. All of them weren't hypocrites, but they didn't believe in Yahawashi. Right? So if they didn't believe in Yahawashi, there was a certain spirit that went amongst them that was no good unto the Most High. Right? So we have to make sure that we are allowing Yahawashi to be our Passover and not trying to receive righteousness on our own, man. Right? A lot of times that's what happens when we come into this truth, so-called, right? Because I say so-called because ultimately me and the brother Abiyashai said, me and the brother Jonathan say the same thing. You know, everybody's truth can be different. Right? That's why you have so many different truths and so many different camps. Everybody's truth can be different, but it's only one faith. So there's a separation between being in the truth and being in the faith, right? You can know you're an Israelite and have a different truth, but there's only one faith, and that's in Yahawashi. And how do you show that faith, right? It's through your actual understanding and belief in what you perpetuate and put out, right? Because that's why Yahawashi speaks of that light. That light is going to always shine when you have the true faith in Yahawashi. It'll never dimmer or falter. It doesn't matter what you go through. It doesn't matter what somebody shows you. It doesn't matter what somebody pushes you through. That light is going to continuously shine. And a lot of times in this walk in Israel, dealing with a lot of people that know a lot, they tend to hedge their righteousness upon what they know. I know this many precepts. Hey, I know the breakdown in Daniel. Hey, I know the breakdown in Revelation. Well, the Lord doesn't care about that. How do you treat your brother? How do you treat your sister? Right? How do you hold yourself accountable when you fall short? Do you mourn when you fall short? Do you smote yourself? Right? Do you really loathe yourself when you fall short? Do you bear your brother and sister's burden? These are the ways to show that you actually have received Yahawashi and you've allowed him to be your Passover. Otherwise, hey, his death to you is nothing. because you believe your righteousness is the way to actually receive the kingdom. Right? Read what you got, King. Yep.
This is the book of Ephesians, chapter 2, and verse 1. And you hath he quickened, who were dead in trespasses and sins,
Right.
wherein in time past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air,
Right.
the spirit that now worketh to the children of disobedience, among whom also we all had our conversation in time past in the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature the children of wrath, even as others. Verse 4. But the Most High, who is rich in mercy, for his for his great love wherewith he loved us.
Right. Hold on right there. So first it's letting you know that, hey, at one time, these Ephesians, which is referring to us as well, we know this epistle was written to the church of Ephesus, but we went through the same thing in times past. And we were dead in sins. But it says Christ quickens you. His death is what quickens you. Him being put to death and hung up on the cross, him being that Passover is what quickened us, man. Right? Give me the book of John, right? Chapter 1 and verse 29. Right? His death is what did this, man. It's not about what you did. It's not about what I do. It's not about what I know. It's not about what your call knows, Jamaica, Potter. It don't matter who you are. It's not about what you know. None of that is getting you in the kingdom. None of that. Right? Sirach tell you, hey, it's better to be some. It's better to give me that. Sirach 19 to 27, 24 real quick. I don't want to butcher it.
All right. The book of Sirach, chapter 19, and verse 24. It says, he that hath small understanding
Right.
and feareth the Most High
Right.
is better than one that hath much wisdom and transgresseth the law of the Most High.
So what you know doesn't matter. Do you fear the Lord? Right? And the fear of the Lord, it's kind of crazy because the fear of the Lord ultimately gives you that love in the Lord. Right? Because just like as a child, you're supposed to fear your father. But that doesn't mean you don't love your father. You fear him because you know what he can do to you. You love him because you know what he does for you. It's the same way with the Lord. You fear him because you know what he can do to you. You love him because you know what he does for you. It's the same way. So that fear that you have in the Lord ultimately is going to make that love blossom and grow. Right? Go ahead and read that.
This is the book of John, chapter 1 and verse 29. The next day John seeth Yahawashi coming unto him, and saith, behold, the Lamb of God, which taketh away the sin of the world.
Right, the Lamb of God, Yahawashi. So ultimately, that quickening, as we read in Ephesians, is dealing with Yahawashi. Yahawashi is what brought us back to life. Yahawashi is the one that brought us back into the fold. Yahawashi is our door to get into the kingdom. Right, he's that door. So we got to make sure that we're actually utilizing Yahawashi, not your own righteousness. And so much of our own people, so much of people that's supposed to be in the truth, that's where they go for justification. They're very much like the publican in the book of Luke chapter 18. Read that in Luke 18 real quick. Luke 18 and 13.
Luke chapter 18 and verse number 13. And the publican, standing afar off.
Right, let's read up to verse 11.
Verse 11. The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself. God, I thank thee that I am not as other men are, exhorters, unjust, adulterers, or even as this publican. I fast twice in the week.
And it's lucky, and that's so many Israelites have that spirit without knowing it. I'm not like these Christians. I'm not like these Christians. I don't do Easter. I don't do Christmas. I don't do Thanksgiving. But where is your actual love and faith in Yahawashi? You boasting in what you don't do. What about the things you do? What about the things you do that the Lord does hate? Where's your contrition for that instead of boasting in what you don't do? The Lord don't care that you put down Christmas. You're supposed to do that. The Lord don't care that you put down Thanksgiving. You're supposed to do that. The Lord don't care about those things. Yet, as this Pharisee was doing, he's boasting on him not being like somebody else, instead of him looking in the mirror and saying, what do I need to do to get right? Now, when you follow Yahawashi and he's your Passover, you understand he's giving you grace and mercy to get right. So what are you doing? You're looking in the mirror trying to get right. You're not consistently saying, well, at least I'm not like that. I remember when I was doing that. I ain't doing that no more. Well, you still doing a lot. Your thoughts are still off. You got to learn to forsake and hate those. So you got to make sure that your spirit is moving in a way where you're accepting Yahawashi continuously, right? Because you can without knowing it, start to put Yahawashi off, thinking that you're doing something because you're not who you used to be anymore. I used to be selling dope. I don't sell dope now. I used to smoke weed. I don't smoke weed no more. But brother, you damn losing it on your wife every day. But brother, you damn, whatever. You hate your brother in your heart. Well, brother, you kind of jealous because you didn't get the breakdown and so and so got the breakdown. I wanted to be the officer of the camp. Brother, these things are not the things that the Lord is happy with, man. But you're saying I'm not like that anymore. Well, brother, you're still like that. It's just not manifesting in that way anymore. So you got to make sure that your spirit is correct, man. Continuously. That's how you make sure that Yahawashi is your Passover. Because when he does come back as that destroyer, if he's not your Passover as he was in Egypt the first time, you're going to die. So you have to make sure that you're receiving that Passover, man. It's not just about sitting down, kind of eating the lamb, kind of eating the unleavened bread, and then it's all good. No, you got to actually look at it spiritually, man. This is your Passover. How do I actually receive it? That's literal. That's spiritual. Us eating of the lamb and the unleavened bread and the bitter herbs. That's all spiritual, and it's the same way. Understand it spiritually that you're eating of Yahawashi. I'm taking him in. That's what eating represents. Digesting. So how do I digest Yahawashi the right way? How do I take on Yahawashi the right way? These are the things we have to actually be meditating and thinking on continuously. Right? Read on.
Salakia. I fast twice in the week. I give tithes of all that I possess. And the publican, standing afar off, would not lift up so much as his eyes unto heaven, but smote upon his breast, saying, Yahweh, be merciful to me, a sinner. I tell you, this man went down to his house, justified rather than the other. For everyone that exalted himself shall be abased, and he that humbled himself shall be exalted.
And that's the separation. It's very different, very, very, very different. Right? The Pharisee says, hey, at least I'm not like this man. At least I'm not doing this. And the publican literally said, hey, man, have mercy on me. I'm a sinner. And the Lord is saying what? One is exalting himself, and one is basing himself. Is humbling himself. Right? The Lord wants you to be humble, man. The Lord wants you, putting on your Yahawashi means putting on humility, man. Not thinking that you know so much, man. Not thinking that you understand more than what you understand. Because the Lord gave you that understanding. He can snatch it like that, man. You can literally go on from being one of the deepest brothers to being one of the deepest brothers. And those deep brothers, you don't want to deal with them. They're a little too deep. Brother going into algorithms and, quantum
Physics.
all kind of stuff now. Brother, that's what happens. Now you got the deep dummy. The deep demon. Right? All because you started to think too highly of yourself. Thought beyond Yahawashi. Right? Give me the book of Romans chapter 10 and verse 1.
Book of Romans, chapter 10.
Right, because we got to understand our righteousness is literally through our faith. Our salvation is literally through grace and mercy. Right? It's always been that way. Every person that the Lord saved at any time, it wasn't because of their righteousness. There's only three accounts of people being taken for their righteousness. Melchizedek, Enoch, and Elijah. There's no other accounts. Every other account of accounts of people being saved, and it tells you that they was taken for that reason. Every other people, it's literally telling you that they were saved through mercy and grace. David, mercy and grace. David should have been killed. The Lord should have killed David. But through mercy and grace, David was kept alive. Right? And David should have been killed at the hands of Saul. But through the Lord's mercy and grace, David was kept alive. Right? Noah. Why was Noah saved? Was it because Noah was great? Over righteous? No. Go to Genesis 6 and 5. You start at 7, 6 and 7. Real quick. Then we'll go back to Romans. We gotta understand it. It's about this. It's about the Lord's grace and mercy, man.
6 and 7.
Come on.
Genesis 6 and 7. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them.
And this is coming again. The Lord's doing, he's going to cleanse the earth again, the same way. He cleansed it the first time with water, he's going to cleanse it again with fire. And we're all striving to be like Noah and get on that ark, right? This ark is going to be a chariot, as brothers know, sisters know, right? So we're all striving to get on that ark. But what got Noah on that ark? Let's find out. Go ahead.
Verse 8. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord.
No, it was just all about him.
He found grace in the eyes of the Lord.
See, Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Yeah, no, of course Noah moved in a way that was pleasing unto the Lord, but ultimately Noah still a filthy rag before the Lord. It say the Lord charges his angels with folly, man. And the angels can't sin. So Noah couldn't be no greater than the angel. It was the grace that he found with the Lord, man. Right, go ahead.
These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with Yahweh.
Right, and Noah walked with Yahweh. And we understand that perfection doesn't mean you don't slip, because we can go through a myriad of people in the precepts that were referred to as perfect, and they still slip. David was referred to as perfect, and we know what David did. You know, we know what he did. Job was referred to as perfect, but Job, he tells you he went off. So that doesn't mean that. It just means that his heart was correct, man. That he walked with the Lord with a pure heart, right? All right, let's go to Romans 10.
The book of Romans, chapter 10, and verse 1. Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to God for Israel is that they might be saved. For I bear them record that they have a zeal of God, but not according to knowledge.
Right, now, a lot of times, and I talk to the brothers about this a lot of times, we like to use this precept to talk about Christians. This is the precept that Israel goes to say, yeah, the Christians, they got a zeal for God. They do, but not according to knowledge. That's why they don't keep the law. This ain't talking about Christians. This talking about us. This talking about the Israelites that know they Israel. This talking about the Pharisees and the elders that was trying to seek righteousness through the law instead of Yahawashi. They wanted to be righteous through their zeal. That's what he's referring to. But it was through the law and not through the spirit and through the faith in Yahawashi. That's what it's referring to. So we got to check and make sure we don't have this spirit. And look, stop using that precept for this, man. Because that's not what it's for. Chris kind of jammed you up. Read down. you read down, he ain't talking about that. It's gonna cut you. You're gonna use that to show a Christian that he can't that he need to keep the law. You gonna say read down, and you read down. It's talking about how they thought keeping the law was gonna give them righteousness, and we're gonna read down on it. Go ahead.
Verse 3. For they being ignorant of God's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of God.
Right, read.
For Yahawashi, Hamashiach, is the end of the law.
Right. Now, why did he say that? If he was talking about Christians that say that you don't got to keep the law, why would he say that? That Yahawashi is the end of the law. It's telling you right now that these people he's talking to thought that the law was for righteousness. Now, still, it's not. Go ahead.
For Mashiach is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone that believeth. For Moses describeth the righteousness which is of the law, that the man which doeth these things shall live by them.
Right.
But the righteousness which is of faith speaketh on this wise. Say not in thine heart, who shall ascend into heaven? That is to bring Hamashiach down from above.
It's plain upon tables. This is the thing. These are the things that you do when you try to establish your own righteousness through your works with your hands, man. You can't do that. And you shouldn't do that. And if you're doing that, you are not receiving the Lord as your Passover. And like I said, when that death angel comes, which is Yahawashi, guess what? You ain't got the blood on your doors. Because the blood on your door now is your temple, is your spiritual body. And that blood is literally the works in your faith of Yahawashi. You ain't got the blood on your doors. So now you're gonna die when that death angel swoops through, man. We're trying to get people to understand how to put the blood on their doors, man. how to receive that Passover, man. Right? These things are not physical no more. And the biggest problem that I say, like I say all the time with Israel, is Israel tries to take what the Lord has made spiritual and return it back to a physical mind state. And that's the problem with when your mind has been so put in a situation where you don't know anything for so long. When you all of a sudden learn it, you want to revert it back to exactly what it was from the beginning and not take it for what it actually is. These things the Lord has given us is spiritual. You can't take and say, hey, well, I can't go to Jerusalem 3 times a year. That's spiritual. I can keep that spiritually. But then tell the brother, well, brother, you got to do it. Brother, you unclean, brother. You can't come to camp. Brother, which one is it? Which one is it? Yahawashi covers you for that, but he don't cover you for that. Or he covers you for that, but he don't cover. Brother, what's going on? That's madness. That doesn't make sense. And Israel has got to get out of that because you're taking Yahawashi out of it, man. And you're not receiving your Passover, man. The man didn't die, get whipped, get beaten, get buffeted for you to just exclude him out of everything, man. That don't make sense. If I was him, I'd be mad as hell. He didn't do it for you to remain wicked. Of course, we know that. But he didn't do it for you to seek your righteousness through the law that you could never do. That's why he died, because he knew you could not do that. You're literally making him a liar. Like, I came down here to die for my brethren, because I know they can't get righteousness through this law. But then they're saying, well, no, hold on now. I can get this righteousness now. No, brother, you can't. The law wasn't even created for that. It was created to show you that you can't do it. It was literally created to show you that you can't do it. To show you that what's inside of you, your flesh, what you created for, is off. You can't do it. Now you're a thief, you kind of learn. Hey, look, the law says thou shalt not steal. That's off, can't steal. If you're a liar, the law says, hey, Leviticus 19:11, don't lie. That's off, can't lie. If the law wasn't there, you wouldn't know that you couldn't do it. And you wouldn't know that you have a problem with denying it and stopping from doing it without the law. That's what it's for. Now you have to do what? Lean on Yahawashi. That's the way the Lord created us. That's what he created us for. To serve him. To have faith in him. To worship him. And if you're not leaning on him, you're not doing what he created you to do. You're defeating what he created you for. Now you have made him a liar. Because you're saying, hey, I'm doing what he said I couldn't do. What makes you any better than the Old Testament only now? Just because you say you believe, your actions and your work and your faith got to follow behind what you say you believe. And like I said, this is a big problem in Israel. That's why you have so many people falling out. Because they got a standard pushed upon them that the people that's pushing it upon them can't even keep. And now they feel like I just can't do it. I'm gonna just put it down. That's exactly what happens. I've talked to people that said that. There was no way for me to do it. Because people are not coming out and saying, no, brother, I struggle. But I got Yahawashi. You struggle. You got Yahawashi. Partake in the Passover. Eat of the Passover. Instead, they tell the brothers, don't. You sinning? You can't keep the Passover. You're unworthy. Brother, you ain't worthy. The hell you tell another man that he unworthy to eat the Passover and you unworthy? You unworthy. We all unworthy of the Passover. Nobody is worthy of Yahawashi's body. So what do you look like telling another man he's unworthy of taking part of something that might help his faith and boost his faith to do better? That'll make you work. It should make you work harder. Right? Read what you got, King.
Galatians 5:4. Mashiach is become of no effect unto you. Whosoever of you are justified by the law, ye are fallen from grace.
See that? If you searching for that justification by the law, you've literally fallen from grace, man. Yahawashi is none effect to you, man. So you got to be very, very careful with what you're saying, how you're acting, and how you're moving when you're trying to move in the spirit of Yahawashi. Like I said, I'm not saying, brothers, just be wicked, you got Christ. I'm not saying that. That's not what's being said. That's not what Paul was saying. That's not what Paul was saying. He was just telling you, hey, look, you can't do it by the law. I couldn't do it. And I was a Pharisee of Pharisees. And I couldn't do it. So you can't do it. But you got Christ. Lean on him. Paul didn't confess his faults unto you and tell you how he struggled in Romans chapter 7 for you to think that you're better than Paul and not going to struggle. It didn't make sense. Right? Read on in Ephesians. Yeah. Oh, no. Sorry, like, go back to Romans. That's what I wanted. Give me Luke 16 and 15.
Romans chapter 10 and verse 7. It reads, or who shall descend into the deep? That is to bring up Christ again from the dead. But what saith it? The word is nigh thee, even in thy mouth and in thy heart. That is the word of faith.
The word of what?
The word of faith.
The word of faith, man. That's the whole thing, man. And that's why, once again, that's why I've seen with my own eyes brothers with the deepest, darkest breakdowns fall out the truth. Because you know what they lack? The faith. That's what they lack. When I first came into the truth, it was the brother Lapayad, part of WFI. And brother, then he left, he was Light of Israel. And the brother was a brother that he knew, brother was a studious brother. Brother knew the precepts, brother knew the breakdowns, brother knew all the stuff. And then one day, brother, whole channel, just every video came off the channel. About a week later, 2 weeks later, brother put up a new video. Why I don't believe in Yahawashi. What do you think happened? He didn't have a word of faith. He had to understand. He had the breakdowns and the precepts, but he didn't have a word of faith, so he couldn't endure. And every person in this room, everybody watching, y'all got to make sure and search out, do I actually have a faith? And this faith, I'm telling you, it shows in how you walk. It shows in how you treat your brother. It shows in how you treat your sister, man. All right, that's Galatians 6 and 2. Somebody get that real quick.
Galatians chapter 6 and verse number 2, and it reads, bear ye one another's burdens,
right,
and so fulfill the law of Christ.
That's the law of Christ. So it shows in how you treat each other, man. Right? If you offend your brother or offend your sister, and you okay with that, hey, you're not in the law of Christ. Right? If your brother or sister they out destitute, and you have a way that you can help them, hey, and you don't help them, you're not in the law of Christ. You're not in the faith. These things are the ways that you actually show that you are actually receiving of the Passover, man. These are the things the Lord wants to see, man. Right? No, that goes into the fruits of the Spirit. Right? Read Romans 10. Read that.
This is Luke 16 and 15.
Read out.
And he said unto them, ye are they which justify yourselves before men.
Right. And a lot of our people, that's the spirit they have. They want to justify themselves before men. And how do they do that? Through the law. Right? That's what he was talking to the Pharisees. Right? Trying to use the law to justify themselves before men. We got to be very careful of that. Right? Go ahead.
But Yahweh knoweth your hearts, for that which is highly esteemed among men is abomination in the sight of God.
See that? The things that are highly esteemed among men is an abomination in the sight of the Most High. Right? And what's highly esteemed among men? Notoriety, having a name. Brother, my name got to be good. Brother, your name got to be good with the man who has the book of life, man. Get your name good with him. People are always going to speak ill of your name. They're always going to say something, might call you Absalom or something. People are always going to speak bad of your name, man. It's going to happen. But that shouldn't matter. How is your name with the one who has the book of life that can write your name in or write it out? Build your name with him. Stop trying to seek justification and what is the word?
Retribution.
No. Reverence from men, man. Stop trying to seek those things from men. Let the Lord be that one to you, man. Right? Read on.
Verse 16. The law and the prophets were until John. Since that time, the kingdom of God is preached, and every man presseth into it.
Right.
And it is easier for heaven and earth to pass than one tittle of the law to fail.
Right. So I had to read on that just to push the point of what I already said. We're not saying that the law is done away with. We're not saying not to keep the law. We're saying, hey, that's not your justification, man. That's not going to get you your salvation. It's not the only way. It's not all that you need. Right? Read Galatians, Potter.
Galatians chapter 2 and verse 16. Knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the law, but by the faith of Yahawashi HaMashiach, even we have believed in Yahawashi HaMashiach, that we might be justified by the faith of Hamashiach, and not by the works of the law. For by the works of the law shall no flesh be justified.
That's plain upon. I ain't got to break that down. That's plain. They kind of forget about that precept when they trying to poke at you about a law. You know, they kind of forget about that precept there, right? Can't forget about that. It's about Yahawashi, man. You got to eat of the Passover, man. Digest Yahawashi, man. You have to do these things, man. Right? You had a precept or something. Go ahead.
Going to the same thing. I bring it up. Romans 3 and 21. But now the righteousness of Yahweh without the law is manifest, being witnessed by the law and the prophets, even the righteousness of God, which is by faith of Yahawashi Mashiach unto all and upon all them that believe, for there is no difference. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of Yahweh.
And that's plain. See, everybody has sinned and come short, man. But what is gonna make you clean again? Yahawashi. What builds you back up? Yahawashi. See, it's very important that we understand these things, because around this time of year, people they say Yahawashi is their Passover, but they try to take you back to Egypt. Try to take you back to Exodus 12. That's not what it's about anymore. We already left Egypt. It's about Yahawashi. Right? It's about Yahawashi, man. We read it in 1 Corinthians. He is your Passover. Stop trying to take Israel back to Egypt, man. Brother, you gotta have your learns border. You gotta have your staff yet. Brother, that's an ordinance in Exodus 12. I don't see that account in the gospel. I don't see that account in the gospel. I don't see no accounts of that after Exodus 12. And I see many Passovers. Stop trying to take Israel back to Egypt. Stop trying to be Moses. Stop trying to be Israel's Moses. Be more like Paul, who showed, and I'm not saying follow Paul, I'm saying be more like Paul. Have that mind frame, who showed mercy, who showed grace, who showed temperance, who fought for the man that didn't know who the hell he was, man. That's who we out there teaching. We're teaching people that don't know who they are, who call themselves American, Mexican, Puerto Rican, Dominican. These are the people we're dealing with. The same way Paul was dealing with the Greeks and the Romans and so on and so forth. People that were being engulfed in wickedness their whole life. You got to have compassion upon them people. Not condemn them, not judge them. Compassion. Paul's letters were filled with compassion. Don't get me wrong, he got on them, called them foolish Galatians. Hey, our people can be foolish. Ain't nothing wrong with letting them know that, but there's a balance in everything that we do. And a lot of times with Israel, that balance tips over to judgment. Not much grace, not much compassion, not much love, just judgment. We got to make sure that the balance is right, man. Right? Read that.
This is the book of
Galatians
Philippians,
3:11.
chapter 2, and verse 1. If there be therefore any consolation in Hamashiach, if any comfort of love, if any fellowship of the Spirit, if any bowels and mercies, fulfill ye my joy, that ye be like-minded, having the same love, being of one accord, of one mind. Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory.
Or what?
Or vainglory.
And that's a big problem in Israel too, man. How many precepts can you pull? You know, there's a lot of vainglory, man. And I don't want to teach. I don't got that many priests. Brother, do you know the curses? Then teach. Yeah, I ain't writing nothing out. Brother, do you know the curses? Then teach. I don't know, man. I can't teach when nobody's in front of me. Brother, do you know the curses? Then teach. Somebody don't know those curses. It may be on the camera. Why you can't teach the camera the same way that you would teach somebody in front of you? There's somebody that's gonna click on that video that never seen those verses before. When I first came to the truth, any verse would have made me like, damn, I didn't know it said that. I didn't know what was in the word. So, but vainglory makes you want to think that you got to pull 50 precepts out every time you teach. Next week I got to learn 50 more precepts, brother. I'll come out and teach the same 5 precepts every week and say all praise to the Most High and close out. It'll be just that.
That's right.
It's not about me. It's about the word of the Lord, man. And when you get caught up in how many precepts you can pull, or can I teach Israel that they're Israelite without going to the curses, brother? Hold on, wait. Who is it about? Who is it about? Now you go into all these different books to try to teach somebody they're Israelite, where you can go to a simple route that you learned you was an Israelite in. But you don't want to do that no more. Because it's about vainglory, man. It's not about Yahawashi. It's not about his word. That's where that camp banging spirit come from. You know, you're not in their camp, they don't care. Brother, well look, is it about Yahawashi's name being preached or not? Is it about Yahawashi's name being preached or your camp name being preached? Which one is it? You got them. These our people. We have to make sure that we are literally taking on the Passover. That does not show fruit to taking on the Passover. I don't care who teaches the name of Yahawashi. Teach the name of Yahawashi. Teach it. Preach it. Tell Israel that they Israel. That's what matters. Tell them to keep the commandments and the faith in Yahawashi. I don't care if you ISUPK, you IUIC, you GOCC. Well, never mind. I mean, they teaching the word, so I give them that. But you got to teach it right at the same. In some retrospect, you can't be teaching certain things, but nonetheless, hey, they still waking up Israel and telling them to keep the commandments. I'm with it, but you got to teach the real name of Yahawashi and Yahushua. GOCC don't teach the real name, so that's why I got to have that separation. But nonetheless, if you teaching the name, man, and you teaching Israel who they are, hey, all praise to the Most High. Right? Read what you got, King.
Galatians chapter 3 and verse 11. But that no man is justified by the law in the sight of Yahweh. It is evident, for the just shall live by faith.
By what?
By faith.
The just shall live by faith. Man. It's all throughout the scriptures, man. It's said a lot in the epistles and the gospels, but when you go through the Bible and you watch what happened and how did Joshua destroy all those nations? Was it his power? How did he make the sun stay still? Faith. How did Elijah cast down fire from heaven 3 times? Faith. How did Elisha do all the many things he did? Faith. How did David do everything he did? Faith. All the just live by faith. None of those men was talking about the works in their hands, man. And all of them loved their people. David's heart smote him just for cutting Saul's skirt, man. Said, how could I touch the Lord's anointed? Yet our people will curse the Lord's anointed every day. And you're supposed to be in the truth. Or try to fight your brother in the truth. Brother, that's the Lord's anointed, man. How dare you raise your hand up against the Lord's anointed, man? See, these things show you that our people have not partaken of the Passover. It's not talking about just eating the bread, man. It ain't talking about kind of digesting the lamb. It ain't talking about just drinking the wine, man. What are you doing spiritually to show that you have partaken in the Passover? How are you showing that you actually have digested Yahawashi, man? Is Yahawashi your Passover, man? Go ahead, read that.
Colossians 1 and 20. And having made peace through the blood of his cross, by him to reconcile all things unto himself, by him I say, whether they be things in earth or things in heaven. And you that were sometime alienated and enemies in your mind by wicked works, yet now have he reconciled.
Have he what?
Have he reconciled.
So the Lord, through his blood, has reconciled us back unto him. And that's what this whole thing is about. That's how he became our Passover. So I tell every brother, every sister, as we partake in this Passover, don't just eat of it, man. Spiritually digest Yahawashi and walk in his spirit. And with that, Shalom.
Shalom.